The scene begins with a girl panting while walking through the snow. The whole city, streets and buildings are all covered in heavy snow. In another scene, a man is seen lying in the snow. They both are a couple and goes their separate ways due to the apocalypse. The scene changes and a little girl is seen waving goodbye at an airplane in the airport. But the airplane engine catches fire and explodes, leaving the girl mortified. In the previous scene, the couple is seen romantically embracing each other and confessing their feelings. The scene changes, and a girl named Isumo, who just finishes reading a romantic comic. She wishes that her life was youthful, like the comic. She says that finally she can end her life as she is done reading her favorite manga. Just then, a muscular, handsome guy calls her while sipping his drink and says that it's dangerous where she is standing. She says to him that she only wanted a passionate and youthful romantic relationship like the manga, but which is impossible as she has something wrong within her body. So she decides to die and give up on her life. She puts out a knife and asks the guy to not mess with her. She threatens him not to touch her as she has an incurable disease. The guy doesn't react and stays on sipping his drink. While she was closing her eyes and getting ready to die, the guy starts to walk and reach her. The guy walked straight into the knife the girl was holding. The knife plunged inside his muscles, splashing blood. She was shocked and panicking about stabbing the guy. The guy grabs her by her throat and lifts her up. He says he never has heard about a disease like this before, which happens by touch, and thinks of it. Rather a cool phenomenon. The guy says that things have been going pretty boring for him. As he touched her, so he is excited and is waiting to feel the disease in his body. She then says shakingly that her unluck charms are coming for him now. The guy is shocked as the floor beneath his feet cracked and he fell in front of a speeding train. Izumo is very upset and feels apologetic towards the guy due to her bad luck charms. She condemns herself for giving bad charms to another person and also taking long to end her problem with herself. But suddenly, she is left shocked to hear the guy's voice and sees his head roll over to her with excitement all over his face. He seems more interested to her disease thing and says she uses this to protect others. Izumo then is stunned to see the guy start to generate a whole body from his head. He reconstructed his own body with blood, flesh, and bones and thinks it's his lucky day to find someone like her. She is still completely shocked to see this guy reconstructing his whole body splashing blood, which gets invisible quickly. Izumo thinks of him as a zombie and punches him in his male organ. The guy was quivering in pain, still managed to catch the girl. He says to Izumi that can't die and has a lot of queries regarding her disease. He then flies off like a blood-sputtering jet with Izumo as soon as the cop starts to come. They both reach at a rooftop and the guy kept flexing about his ability. He says that he can regenerate his legs very fast. Izumo wasn't interested and was looking to escape, but the guy held her up by leg. He was not letting her leave as he still had questions about her disease. Izumo tells him to remind him that he's still holding her, which would bring bad luck for him. The guy says he should be okay as long as he touches her by her clothes. Izumo wants him to let her. She was hanging from a tall building, but she realizes that she had been wanting to die anyways. She says to the guy that his threat won't scare her at all. The guy starts to spin and bully her until she finally agrees to tell him more about the disease. Then she starts to tell her story about the bad luck charm that started 10 years ago, when she was only 8 years ago. She was seeing off her parents at the airport as they were heading overseas for business. They shared a lot of family hug moments as they were going out for a week. She was waiting outside and bidding goodbye to the plane her parents were in. But suddenly, there was a problem at the plane engine and the whole plane exploded in front of her. All the 270 people aboard, including her parents, died. From then onwards, she understood that the people who touched her ended up getting hurt. Suddenly, the guy hugs Izumo from behind, doing a bare skin-to-skin contact to test the bad luck charms. Izumo was shocked and embarrassed and was asking him to let go. All of a sudden, a container filled with banana, which was going in the plane above them, fell on the guy, crushing him from everywhere. Izumo then attempts to run away while she can, but the guy bursts the container open and reconstructs himself again, satisfied with the result. Izumo unfortunately slips on a banana peel and fell off from the building. Izumo was in disbelief as she was finally dying, but to a banana peel, which she felt was a funny way to die. Her precious manga leaves her pocket as she was falling down. She pleads to not to die this way here and realizes she is not yet ready to die. Just then, the guy grabs her and the book and slows them down using his abilities. He says to Izumo that he is not letting her die because he thinks that finally, due to her, he can really have a real death. He also tells Izumo that he noticed a rule that she tried to hide from him back there. So if he can figure that rule out, he can make a bigger stroke of unluck happen to him. He wants a real death that he could get from her unlucky charm to finally end his long disturbing life. He then uses his power to fly and flee the scene again with Izumo in his hideout. But here again, he was being watched from a distance by some people. He said that the human blood dispenser was fleeing in his hideout with a new breed, and someone instructed the guy to apprehend and capture both the girl and the immortal guy after confirming her ability. The scene changes, and both the guy and Izumo are seen in his hideout. He says Izumo to take off her clothes so that he can have direct contact with her body to correlate to a bigger unluck. Izumo starts to run away, and the guy chases her to catch her. Finally, her jacket gets stuck with a nail nearby, and her hair goes undone. As soon as her hair is exposed, she starts to cry as someone has seen her ridiculously long hair and says that nobody has been able to cut it as the hairstylist always ended up dead due to touching her for long. The guy then gets some scissors and cuts her long hair. She says to him that it might bring all the bad luck charms as soon as he is done, but he reassures her that it will be okay, as he is immortal. After finishing up, he takes a small mirror piece and asks the girl to see her new haircut. The guy lets her go and stands up while saying that he had held her for 15 minutes, so the next unluck would be a good one. She girl was surprised, but all of a sudden, a sword slashed and the head of the guy fell on the ground. She saw that it was the guy from before in the suits and mocked Isumo as the immortal guy put a guard down because of her. He then captures his head in a special capsule and captures her. The suited men mocked her and said that their job was to capture unselected negators like her and the immortal guy that throws the world into chaos. Izumo was confused, but the suited guy found her ability of unluck incredible, as she negates the luck of whoever touched her and kills them. He says that her ability is perfect for murders. Izumo realizes that they are going to misuse her and her power. He says that they are going to use it to kill others and was sure that undead approached her because of the same reason. But Izumo says that even if they met a while ago, but the immortal guy only used her power to bring death for himself. But the suited guy says her. He doesn't care and tells her to watch her mouth while threatening her. Izumo starts to cry as she was feeling bad for him and expressed her gratitude towards him. Suddenly, lightning struck on the guy, leaving him fried, that held the capsule, which bare the head of the immortal guy. The capsule broke and the head of the immortal guy came out. He started to regenerate and reconstruct. The suited guy says guns were ineffective for him and tells all of them to attack at once and cut him down, and he is an amateur during combat. The immortal guy seemed pissed and says that the past is a different story now. He takes out the blade that he had in his forehead, which keeps his 100 years worth memories bottled up. He then slashes and kills all of the men at once. The immortal guy says to Izumo that the bad luck for the haircut wasn't of his head slashing. Rather, it was the lightning bolt. The suited guy realizes that the immortal guy is not amateur. The suited guy takes his sword out and places it on Izumo's neck and asks the immortal guy to hand over his head to him. Without regenerating or otherwise, he will cut Izumo's head off. The immortal guy mocked the suited guy, as he won't fight him and will be missing all the fun. He cuts his head off, leaving Izumo shocked. He says that he is cutting his head off to save her. Izumo says she can't take this anymore and starts a dramatic speech of people always getting hurt around her or dies. But by then, the immortal guy chops his head off already. He tells her that he had fun, and if they ever see each other again, they were going to party. He throws his head over to the suited guy while his body disappears. Izumo then realizes a way to trigger the worst bad luck and runs towards the head of the immortal guy. She kisses the head of the immortal on its cheeks. The suited guy wonders what she did, but Izumo says that she had done nothing special. She knew a bigger stroke of unluck was coming. The suited guy couldn't figure out anything, but the immortal guy knows what she did. He starts to regenerate and asks Izumo to run away. He then punches the suited guy and says that he is done for. He held him, and soon a meteorite fell from the sky, destroying the whole building. After it, Izumo still worries about the immortal guy, but he came out from the smoke. The immortal guy says that he had never taken a meteorite over his face before. Izumo was finally relieved that he was alive. The immortal guy complimented her for the support back there. Izumo then says her name and asks the immortal guy's name. The immortal guy says he doesn't remember his name, so Izumo gives him a new name, Andy, as it sounds same as the word undead. That's all for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and we will be back with more. Thank you for watching.